The church bells tolled softly in the afternoon breeze, their echo drifting across the small town square where guests hurried toward the white stone chapel. I sat quietly in the back row, my weathered hands gripping the cane I didn't really need but carried out of habit. At 80 years old, I had learned the value of silence, of watching carefully before speaking. Today was supposed to be a day of joy, my daughter's wedding. But even as the flowers hung delicately from the pews and the organist rehearsed the bridal march, something in the air felt wrong. A heaviness like the weight of a storm waiting just beyond the horizon. Grandpa, a small tug at my coat sleeve startled me. I looked down and saw little Adam, my 10-year-old grandson. His hazel eyes, usually bright with mischief, were now wide, almost trembling with urgency. He leaned in so close I could feel his breath warm against my ear. "Grandpa," he whispered, barely moving his lips, "you have to stop my mom's wedding." I blinked. Surely I had misheard him. Stop the wedding? Children imagined many things, but this was different. His voice carried no trace of playfulness, only fear. I bent my head lower so no one around could hear. "Adam, what are you talking about?" I murmured, my voice steady but heavy with concern. He swallowed hard, his little hands clenching the fabric of my suit jacket. You can't let her marry him. Please, something bad is going to happen." The words sent a chill racing down my spine. My heart, already fragile with age, thudded painfully. I studied his face. This wasn't a tantrum or childish jealousy. No, this was dread. Before I could question him further, his grandmother, my late wife's sister, approached, ushering him off toward the family pews with a polite smile. "Come along now, Adam. Don't bother your grandfather." I watched him glance back at me, his eyes begging me not to ignore what he'd said. The ceremony was not due to start for another half hour. Guests filled the room with polite laughter, glasses clinking faintly in the reception hall just beyond. I sat there in silence, Adam's words replaying in my mind like an echo I could not escape. "Stop the wedding." My eyes shifted toward the front of the chapel, where the groom stood, speaking animatedly with his best man. Tall, sharply dressed, hair slicked back, he carried himself with a confidence that bordered on arrogance. I had never trusted him fully, though I bit my tongue for my daughter's sake. Love often made the blind deaf to warnings, and she was so sure, so determined that this man was her fresh start after years of hardship. But as I studied him now, I noticed something I had overlooked before. His smile didn't reach his eyes. When he shook hands with relatives, his grip was too firm, too performative. And when my daughter finally walked into the chapel with her veil lowered, he didn't even glance at her with softness. His eyes darted instead toward the front rows, scanning, as if measuring his audience. I leaned back in the pew, my breath uneven. Adam's whisper grew louder inside my head. "You have to stop my mom's wedding." Why would a child say that unless he knew something? Unless he had seen something? I remembered the way my grandson clutched me just moments ago, the desperation in his voice, the quiver in his chin. That was no childish whim, that was a plea for help, and suddenly I felt it in my bones, the instinct that had carried me through decades of life, wars, and betrayals. Something was not right here. My daughter was about to make a mistake that could cost her everything, and my grandson knew the truth. As the organist began to play softly, I clenched my cane tighter. For the first time in years, I felt the old fire stirring in my chest. This was not going to be an ordinary wedding day. This was the beginning of something far darker. The music swelled, filling the chapel with a melody that seemed almost too sweet, too calm for the storm that churned in my chest. Guests chatted, the bridesmaids arranged their dresses, and the photographer adjusted his camera lenses. But I could not focus on any of it. All I could think about was Adam's whisper. When the guests turned their attention toward the entrance, I quietly slipped out of the pew. The wooden floor creaked beneath my step, but no one seemed to notice. They were too consumed with excitement. I found Adam in the small side hall near the vestry, his little suit rumpled, his hair falling into his worried eyes. He looked up the moment he saw me, relief washing over his face as though he had been waiting desperately for me to come. "Grandpa," he said in a hushed, trembling voice, "you came." I knelt slightly, ignoring the ache in my knees. "Tell me, Adam, why did you say I have to stop your mom's wedding?" His throat bobbed as he swallowed hard. Because he doesn't love her, Grandpa. He just wants her money." My breath caught. "What do you mean?" I heard him. Adam whispered urgently, glancing over his shoulder to make sure no one was listening. "Last night he was on the phone. I went to get some water, and I heard him in the living room. He said once they marry, she'll sign everything over. He was laughing about it with another." Man, the words hit me like a hammer. I felt a surge of anger rise, hot and sharp, yet underneath it, a deep sorrow for my daughter. My little girl, after all her struggles, after losing so much, was about to hand her heart and her life to a wolf in sheep's clothing. I rested a hand on Adam's shoulder, steadying him. "Did you tell your mom?" His eyes lowered. "I tried, but she told me I was imagining things. She said I shouldn't be jealous just because she's happy again." I closed my eyes briefly. I had heard the same dismissive words from her before, when she fell in love too quickly, when she trusted too easily. She had always been stubborn, chasing love as though it would fix the emptiness inside her. And now, here she was standing on the edge of another cliff, ready to leap blindfolded. "Listen to me, Adam," I said firmly, lifting his chin so his small eyes met mine. "You did the right thing telling me. You were very brave, but you must let me handle this now." He nodded, though fear still clouded his expression. I stood slowly, my joints protesting, but my spirit burning stronger with every passing second. As I walked back toward the chapel, fragments of the past flashed through my mind, memories of my daughter's tear-stained face after her first marriage crumbled, the nights she swore she'd never trust a man again, the years she struggled to raise Adam alone, and now she was about to walk into another betrayal. Inside the chapel, I saw her standing with her bridesmaids. She looked radiant in her gown, but her smile was fragile, uncertain. For just a second, our eyes met across the room. She tilted her head, silently questioning why I was staring at her so intently. I forced a faint smile, not wanting to alarm her. Not yet, but my decision was already made. I would not let her repeat the same mistake. I would not sit idle while a man who only saw her as a bank account stripped her of everything she had left. Adam's whisper had pulled me from the shadows of age and grief, awakening something in me I thought had long died, the will to fight for my family. The organist shifted to the wedding march, and the guests rose to their feet in anticipation. The groom straightened his tie, his smug grin flashing as he adjusted his cufflinks. But I saw it now, the glimmer of greed in his eyes, the hidden contempt in his smile. And as my daughter prepared to walk down the aisle, I vowed silently, "This wedding will not end the way he thinks it will." The guests rose to their feet as the organ's chords boomed across the chapel. My daughter, veiled and glowing, clutched her bouquet with trembling hands as she began her slow walk down the aisle. Every eye followed her, every smile directed at her except mine. My gaze remained fixed on the groom. He stood tall, chin lifted, wearing the smug confidence of a man who believed victory was already his. I noticed the twitch at the corner of his mouth, the calculating glances he cast at the crowd, like an actor admiring his stage. Adam's words repeated in my head like a drumbeat. "Once we marry, she'll sign everything over." The aisle felt longer than ever, each step of my daughter's shoes echoing like a countdown to disaster. My fingers tightened around the head of my cane. When she reached the altar, her hands slipped into the groom's. He smiled down at her, but there was no tenderness in his expression, only possession. I could see it now, clearer than ever. The officiant began the ceremony, words flowing in that steady, rehearsed rhythm. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. My chest tightened. I tried to remain composed, to breathe, but the weight of silence pressed against me like a stone. Should I do it now? Should I wait until the vows, until the kiss? My daughter's lips quivered faintly beneath her veil. Did she sense it too? Did her heart whisper warnings even as her mind clung to hope?